Some critics call them four crazy undocumented high school students on a mission with one goal: design an underwater robot.
They took their robot and headed west to a sophisticated underwater robotics competition, up against the likes of MIT.
When we arrived at the competition, I was pretty nervous.
The other robots were like pieces of underwater jewelry.
We looked like the carnival had arrived. Just a raggedy-ass robot.
We were way over our head.
We noticed water in the case.
We're telling it to go forward, and the robot's going sideways. And I'm thinking,
Oh my God.
oh, we're out of the competition.
We were all having problems.
So we're gonna break the leak here with Lorenzo Santillan. You're one of the actors of the wonderful documentary Underwater Dreams. So let's take me back to the conception of that idea, where that idea came from, and say, you know what, we're gonna build an underwater robot.
So the teachers decided to go to Santa Barbara, California for some workshops there. And since it's, Santa Barbara, it's really nice. The teacher, Alan Cameron, decided to talk to Freddie about doing it, and they decided to go. And they learned about the competition, and they came back motivated, and they wanted to do it. The thing is, there was two different classes. Mm-hmm. One was a college category, and the other one was a high school, and then a college category. So they're like, the logic was, if we beat all the high schools in the country, what good does that do? We just beat high schools and that was it. But if you beat one college and you learn from it, you get a lot more experience and you get to brag about colleges. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of like the background of how we got into this competition. Teachers traveled, shared the story, and then came back to us and wanted to do something with it. So,
so from Phoenix, Arizona, you took the whole team. Yeah. You took the robot to University of California in Santa Barbara. So, but you had an idea. You had a totally different idea from the group. What was it?
Well, it was, how to fix a robot without, being able to, change everything. Because if you try to repair the whole thing, we would have to really disassemble the whole robot and then go push forward. But the idea I had was how to fix a leak, and that was because we had it in the electronics box, and the idea was to throw tampons in there because they were small and compact, and they didn't have an applicator, which I'm not a girl, so I don't use tampons. And, it just helped out. I learned it from a young lady in the grocery store when I was shopping, so.
Yeah. But you are facing tough challenges there, with several other schools, big names.
Yeah.
Were you scared?
The teachers didn't push on us the competitive aspect of it. Mm-hmm. They just wanted us to experience a competition, to experience something that we'd never done before. The other thing is that we had a very small budget. Our budget was $800, and we recycled all the parts from previous robots that we have done. So a lot of people say, no, you had all these resources. Well, we really didn't have a lot because of where our school is, It's a low-income Title I school, which all the students get school lunches for free, and it's known for its gang violence in Arizona, so it's not a good school, for anybody to say they're going to enter a robotics competition and they're going to win. It's not an expectation out of us.
Wait a minute, you said $800 budget, so now it was another challenge to make that second robot.
Yeah, I mean, our school was at a session during summer school, so we had a limited amount of money that we could raise. On top of that, fundraising is not that easy for us. So, $800 was it, So, we had to get creative in building this robot. So going to Home Depot was our, best option. A lot of the things that we had is either Home Depot or low budget things that we could afford.
Give me a description of that robot. I know that we are watching it right now, but give me a description. What are the pieces you had to use to build that?
Yeah, so the main structure of the robot is PVC, and so it's called super blue glue, and then a lot of wires, some CPU, and then some PWM cables, some motors. The motors were actually 12-volt motors that come off of a trolling boat. And they were, rated at 12 volts and 5 amps. They could carry a heavy load for the cheapest amount of money, and they were also waterproof, which made it, easier for us to be using those things. The thing is that we didn't have the experience to know that those motors were too powerful for the things that we were going to be doing, and trying to achieve neutral buoyancy with it, not knowing how the PVC was going to react in water, knowing that it was going to be buoyant, but we didn't know how much.
Wow.
So that was something.
And how you figured that out?
I mean, it was just trial and error. At the end of the day, when we, tried it out, we were positive buoyant, thinking that we were going to be negative buoyant. So then we had to add weights to it to make it, more of a neutrally buoyant robot in the water. So
Tell me about the collaboration with your team. So it wasn't only you, or four
No.
of you. So how was the ambience there working together?
it was a mix-up of different characters, because I'm a rebellious type of guy. I don't care what anybody can tell me. And then Oscar was the leader. He had that military kind of background from being in JROTC in high school. And then Christian was very smart for his own good. So he would, come up with ideas, and they were really good, but sometimes they would not be, possible because of the budget. We had Luis that was just straight up muscle, big guy that could, haul stuff around and manhandle stuff. So, and it was very quiet. You would think that a big guy would be very loud. He was very quiet and very shy. So, there was different personalities that when we came together, even though we had differences between each other, as a team, we were there together, and we knew what our goals were.
Yeah. Underwater Dreams received numerous recognitions, including from the President of the United States, Barack Obama. So how you reacted to that?
It's I'm at a loss for words. I wouldn't have thought that our story would have reached the White House, and now I've been able to fundraise money through just our documentary being shown in the White House and showcased. But it shows a lot more. It shows that this is a country of change. We just have to start it, So, in that said, I think that even though this is a 10-year-old story, it still shows that we still can, be motivated by it.
Be creative. Be a hero. Be the solution. Be connected. Be innovative. Be global. Be successful. Be you. Be MDC. Be Miami-Dade College.
Our conversation with Lorenzo Santillan from Underwater Dreams, wonderful documentary. Now I want to talk about something very important, because behind the documentary, there's the person.
Yeah.
So you from Mexico coming here United States illegally.
Yeah.
How old you were?
I was 9 months when I was brought over to the United States. I am one of 5 now. My oldest brother is also undocumented. After me, all my siblings are from here. The interesting thing about that is that I'm the only one that has graduated college out of the 5. You would think that since my siblings that came after me would want to pursue a higher education, would do it. It's a little dumbfounding why it didn't happen. Although that is how it is. I tried my best to motivate them in a way that, hey, I've gone to college, I've graduated, you could follow in my footsteps and go on and do it. It's possible for you. Yeah. Even with all the obstacles that I had, because we had Proposition 300 that would quadruple tuition in college. Even then, when that proposition was still around in Arizona, I still went to college, and I still graduated with an associate's degree in applied sciences, which is a fancy name for culinary arts. So just showing that, if my siblings didn't do it, everybody else can, and I could motivate the whole world with it.
But at the same time, it's creating a legacy. Even with the documentary, you're creating a path to say to others, it doesn't matter where I came from, I can be whoever I want to be, as long as I use my brain to make something happen, right?
Yeah. And there's a lot of, trying and failing, but there's also learning with that failing, and you should never give up just because you failed. I mean, that's how you learn. You know.
You grew up with your parents in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
Tell me, give me a description of how is life inside of the house.
I mean, in reality, you know, it is a difficult thing because we're supposed to be growing up with fear. And I mentioned earlier that I was a rebel in the family. The reason why I say that is because there's things that as a Hispanic family we don't share, like being undocumented and being scared of authority figures like the police and the politicians that want to make us, you know, be illegal in this country and undocumented. I mean, for me, it was a radical move just to tell my mom, hey, I'm going to, you know, share this story. I'm going to say I'm undocumented. And I know that it could hurt our family, but at the same time, I understand how much more important a story like this is. And for us, you know, 10 years ago when we're coming out and as being undocumented and unafraid, it was a big deal because nobody was doing it at that time, and there was a lot of fear. And that was very powerful for somebody to do, just to go on, you know, multimedia, newspapers, you know, news outlets, anything that had to do with, you know, news. We were there and saying that, you know. So it was a difficult time for my family to be going through, but I knew that the result was going to be something bigger.
Yeah, and that's what I want to follow up on that. What was the motivation behind that?
Knowing that there's millions of undocumented stories just like us, and that our story is highlighted. Why aren't other stories like ours highlighted too? You know, I think that's very essential for us to motivate one another in sharing stories of undocumented youth succeeding and not, you know, always being shown as a bad guy, as a guy that, you know, is in a gang or a drug addict or things like that. There's not a lot of stories like ours. So it's super important to, you know, go out there and show this, highlight these stories, because I know that they're in this world, I'm not just the only one that has the same story. There's other stories, but they also deserve to be heard.
Lorenzo, you overcome adversities. You grew up in a poor community. How that affected you?
I mean, I don't think I would be the person I am now because I wouldn't have been pushed as hard. Every day we're, you know, faced with obstacles and challenges, but at the same time, the teachers that trained us and showed us the way to not give up on ourselves have showed us that no matter what politician says, even if it's a law, it doesn't mean it's right. And just being that radical and saying your law, just because you're saying I can't drive and it's a law, doesn't deserve to be there or exist.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is, you know.
Yeah. Earlier, we spoke about difficulties that you had to face in life. School is one of them. You've been bullied, called illegal immigrant. So how that made you feel at the time?
I think that being called undocumented, you know, illegal immigrant, how you say it, growing up with my mom and dad, I mean, they've never hidden the fact that we were undocumented. So that just, you know, made it a little easier and more. It sucked that you're being bullied, and that's because of my long hair. I don't know if you guys seen a few pictures. I had long hair, and I have an odd face shape, so there was bullying around that, and I had a lot of anger problems because of that, and it wasn't a good time in my life where I could feel proud of myself when this, you know, on top of, you know, politicians pushing us down, I had people in the school pushing me back, and, you know, so all these types of things just make you feel down. But at the same time, you're not just gonna give up and stop your life because somebody is telling you're not that good looking or you're not that smart or you don't deserve to be in this country, because Arizona is my home. And even though I was born in Mexico, the only place that I consider home is Arizona. Yeah. So I don't think nobody could take that away from me. Nobody should ever.
So you came here very little, almost as a baby. So when did you realize that, wait a minute, I am illegal here. I don't have the papers. I'm not a U.S. citizen. Your parents told you that, or how you find out?
I've always known. My mom, like I said, my mom's never hidden that from us. we also knew that our cousins were undocumented and there was other ways to get work without, I want to mention them. So it's just, it was just a fact of life that if I wanted to work, there was going to be something extra things that I had to do, and if it means helping out a family and pushing forward, then you're going to do what you have to do to, even if it's breaking the law, you're going to have to do it, because this country doesn't recognize us or doesn't want to admit that we're here and that we're here to help. But,
I want to take you back to your school again, your high school.
Yeah.
You had a group, Mexican, working with you as well to create that wonderful robot. But also, there were other groups, there were other experiences that you had in high school. Give me something that really impacted you in high school.
I think I want to say that it was the teacher that impacted me the most. Because by default, I was supposed to go to that school based on where I lived. And he would always talk about, his major role in school is supposed to be marine science teacher, but he also focused on the robotics stuff, and he would always talk about it. So man, I was like, wow, like you get to do all these things with tools and break things and learn how to put them back together and fix them, and I found that very fascinating, So one time I went to help him feed the fish during the summer, and I realized that was something I wanted to join, and it was a robotics team. So I decided, yeah, why not try it? So the next day, I come back to school, and I signed up for this class, and I was like immediately hooked. So I was a sophomore then, and I had lost my friend to immigration. His mom was deported, so he had to go. So my only friend had been moved away, so now it was just me and trying out new things.
Yeah. Growing up, like I said, from a poor community, you're from the minority. You came from another place, coming here, United States. But you choose to go to the STEAM, technology, science, and we know here in this country, it's we don't have a lot of people from the minority to go to that. Do you think it's a great thing that you create that legacy and now encouraging others, African Americans, Latino, that they have to pursue such a career?
Yeah, I mean, in the school that I went to, talking in particular about Carl Hayden, once we beat all the odds, we beat MIT, people will say, well, it was luck. We didn't do it once, we did it 3 times. We ranked top 3 every year for the next 2-3 years. And then the competition moved to Canada. But what came after that was all these students having a higher expectation, they weren't just going to high school and finishing up and going to work. Their expectation now was to graduate college and have a nice paying job, and that's been liberating. It is an eye opener because you don't realize how big of a role model you are. Even if we're just changing that one school, we're changing it in a big way, And expectations have now risen, and anybody that joins that team has an expectation, not from their parents, but from the people that were there before them.
Let me tell you, I came from Haiti. I am Haitian American. Back in Haiti, I had an idea of what is the American dream. So you came here in this country, even though you were not born in the United States, but you grew up here, as a little kid. What is the American dream means to you?
I think that the American dream for me is to living in a country that where you're not gonna be judged by, your color, your skin, your race, your ethnicity. I think that being in this country means living free as you like, and having the pursuit, finding the pursuit of happiness in what you like to do. For me, that's cooking, and having a successful restaurant. I didn't know I was gonna be going into cooking, but that was something that always called me out. So for me, the American dream is being a restaurant owner and being a contributing member to this society. Yeah. I mean, I'll pay taxes. I'll do everything just as legal as everybody else, and I'll be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that was big dreams. And I wanted to talk back about, growing up, again, like I said, in a poor community. We have several cities, poor communities around the country here in the United States. What is the piece of advice you will share with others?
I would just tell everybody, you know what? You can decide to give up on your dreams. You can decide to stop doing what you're doing. But if you don't give up, if you perceive what you want to do, then you could be in the same situation, and find a happy medium for yourself. Never give up on yourself, and always look for your dreams no matter what.
So we're running out of time, Lorenzo, but I wanted to ask you 3 important questions. I wanted to have your reaction on that. So you were born in Mexico, coming here United States. You're still undocumented. So when now you're watching TV stations, you listen to radio stations, and they are talking about being illegal here. What is that telling you, the word illegal?
I mean, illegal for me means that people are still not educated. When I hear undocumented, we're changing things slowly, and slowly but surely, I know we'll change more than just the word that is being said.
When you heard the word on the water robot, what is that telling you now?
It means success. It means freedom. It means you can do anything you want.
Yeah. I love the Mexican community that when I travel around the world, I'm working with some Mexicans here in Miami. What is good about Mexican you want to share with the world?
We're not rapists. We're not criminals. We're not anything more than educated, just as anybody else. So we shouldn't be treated differently. And I just want to share it with everybody that just get out and vote. Make your voice count. Because at the end of the day, if you don't vote, you didn't participate in something that meant so much more than just voting. And if you really care about your country, get in there and get involved.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lorenzo. It was truly an honor having you here. So we talk about a lot today. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot, Lorenzo. And thank you as well to you for watching that wonderful interview with Lorenzo from On the Water Dreams. Wonderful documentary that I encourage you to watch as well. One good thing that you need to take care of that interview is remember that it doesn't matter where you're from, what language you speak. You can always be somebody as long as you follow your dream, you go to school. My name is James Pierre. We'll see you next time.